Hello everyone, welcome to Keystone Academia. Myself, Misbah Saudagar, I am lead tutor at Keystone Academia. So guys, we are registered learning partner with CIMA India, and we have been helping students across levels for the case studies. And so far, we have helped around 100 plus students to become CIMA qualified. And currently, today we'll be discussing our very important pre-scene, that is for management case study. So, guys, people coming to management case study is sometime coming directly to MCS, and there are other types of students who have done OCS, right? So, this is considered sometimes one of the most difficult case study. And obviously, the reason is if somebody is coming directly here, they don't have a good background how the case study exam works, how the things will be tested. Okay, so we have a pre-scene for May and August 2024 called Flatthall. Very interesting pre-scene. Let's get started. All right, so Flatthall, as you can see on the screen, it looks something related to real estate and all. Yes, this is more of rental properties, and they are focusing on students. We'll see this on the later pages. For example, we know companies like WeWork. WeWork is focusing on offices. Same here, Flatthall is focusing on students, or rather, we can say international students. Globally, if you see, the market of international students are increasing. If I talk about India, from India last year, almost 13 lakhs, 1.3 million students went abroad for their studies, right? So where they will stay? It's a very big problem. Usually the colleges and university cannot provide so much of accommodation. So companies like Flatthall will come in. So there are private players who will come in and cater the needs. You can imagine students across the globe going to Europe, Australia, North America. These are the hot places for the studies. So very interesting and very realistic. If some of you have already been situated, in other countries for education, you'll definitely relate to it. I have experienced this myself, so I can totally relate. It's like very practical and very fascinating case study. So before starting, we need to understand one thing about the context statement, where CIMA is planning to test you on real world scenario. We have to understand that we should not consider special issues happening or one of events happening somewhere, or something like war or lockdown, right? Something which is extreme we should ignore, even if it is relevant to the geography you are located. We have to consider things are normal, and we have to give answers which is catering the normal day-to-day needs of the business. This is more of a business acumen that is tested here, right? However, if you give some examples from risk perspective or relevant, you can get a mark out of it. Like they have mentioned in the last paragraph, marks will be awarded for valid arguments, right? All right, so in table of contents, the pre-scene is pretty similar to the previous management case study pre-scene. So the performer will stay the same. You'll have an introduction where they'll talk about your role, responsibilities. We'll have the education system of Thailand. We are located in Thailand, so we'll see what is the education system. Sometimes what happens, certain countries, for example, UK is very good for finance based education. So we can understand it will attract students not only from locally but across the world. So what is the education system, what is their strength, what type of courses are going up now? For example, we can say in finance also now, we are moving towards fintech based courses. In engineering, we are coming up with more of technology integrated courses. Things like that will also be discussed here. Then student accommodation, what type of accommodation usually offers, what's the pricing difference, all of those. Halls of residence, private rentals. Again, these areas are trying to give you some background about how the businesses works, right? So what happens is, once we go in, we'll have a decent idea. But what we do in our classes is, we'll make students go through actual case studies. We'll take some companies and compare with them. We'll do industry analysis. So if you take real world industry analysis, the understanding will be even better. We'll have purpose built student accommodation. This is primarily focused only on international students, or made in such a way that is comfortable for the students. Let's say they'll have a 3 bedroom apartment kind of thing. In each bedroom there will be students, then you'll have a very big kitchen, then you'll have one hall where they can socialize. or sometimes they can use that for studies, then it will have a similar kind of places, or sometimes they'll call it a studio, a small room and a small kitchen inbuilt in that, that is also focusing on the students with a small study table, right? Then we'll see on page 9 when the flat hall was established, how it came into existence. This is more of a need based business. We have to understand, are we solving a problem, are we catering a need, the need is growing up or growing down, right? Because this will be specifically based on the country's education, how competitive they are compared to other players, where the head office is located, board structure, business model, annual report. Then in annual report, they'll also talk about the competitors. We'll see their financials. These are the basic things. And we'll add this with the news reports and the blogs. So first thing first, let's get started with the introduction. Okay. Just to tell you one important thing before we start. Introduction is the most important part in the pre-sale. I personally believe if somebody has done this, they have almost halfway towards the pre-sale. The reason is here they give you the points what you will be tested on. They'll give you the responsibilities. For example, if they talk about here, you are a finance manager. So we should understand what are the roles and responsibilities are there for finance manager. Then we'll link this to I can statement, which will get in the exam blueprint. So you should be confident of attempting all of that before the exams, and that will actually help us clear the exam in the first attempt. In fact, that is one of the key what we are doing at Keystone Academia. The student should be confident about I can statement. They should know the roles and responsibilities of the finance manager, or if it is a finance officer or senior finance manager, we should know what the expectation is from the role. Because the same profile, if you look in real world, it can be different. Why? Because every organization works in a different way. Some are flat organizations, some are tall organization, lot of hierarchy is there. Okay. So Flatthall is a quoted company that owns and operate 174 residential buildings that are located in towns and cities in its home country of Thailand. Very good. So a lot of things to do. First is a quoted company. What do you mean by quoted company? A listed company, a company which is raising finance from the normal public. It is also known as listed company, or we can even call it as a floated company, floating company, right? So there will be number of advantages and disadvantages if you are a listed company. Please mention this in your exams. If any question come, if you're suggesting a strategy, if it is specific to, let's say, conflict management or raising finance, make sure that we are considering that. So just a quick recap, if you do, what are the advantage and disadvantage if you talk about being a listed company? Advantages, if you're starting, raising finance is good, marketability of shares is there, trust factor is high, right? Stakeholder management is there. What can be the disadvantage? The biggest disadvantage of being a listed company is more scrutiny, more paperwork, mandatory internal audit is there. Any small rumors or any bad reputation can lead to share price going down. Stakeholder power will determine the strategy. If you have small number of let's say customers, if you're B2B business, not in this, I'm just giving an example, B2B business, that time they will be very much affected by what the clients or the customers are saying. That things will be changed. Okay. That owns and operates 174 residential buildings that are located in towns, cities in its home country of Thailand. So far we can see it looks like a national level business. They are just in there. However, with the rising demand, let's take this as an example of UK. So you can say from UK, people are going to Ireland, people are going within UK, different places like Scotland. They want to move other countries of Europe. So very easy to scale up because weather is same, the culture is same. That thing also we can focus. And there that owns and operates 174. So how this business model works? Some people will just take real estate property on rent, then they will sub rent it, or they'll take on lease or sub lease to the students individual, just like what WeWork is doing for the offices. However, certain business owns it, owns like you are the owner of that. Here, if you see, the keyword is owns and operates. So I believe from F pillar, one important question can be asked is about lease versus buy. If you want to buy or you want to lease it, because buying is very big capital expenses. We need to see and decide based on the numbers, right? Because when you want to grow a business, we cannot keep on buying the properties every time. These buildings are subdivided into flats that are rented to full-time students in nearby colleges and universities. So basically, they take a big building. The design itself is totally different from a normal home. We don't see a very big garden inside it. We see that they're utilizing the space. They'll have a game zone area down. You'll have a security there. You'll have a small room for studies, right? And you'll have somebody to support with the cleaning and everything. So it depends what facilities they are providing. And sometimes they'll have a big washing machine. Investment can go and pay for it, or sometimes they will get one for an individual flat. So it's totally depending on that. Okay. Moving forward, Toland's currency is the T dollar again. So as we all know, we don't have any calculations in the case study exam. However, we should know the currency, because Toland currency is T dollar. They are saying we'll not have calculations, but we should understand. We'll have questions from IFRS where we'll talk about conversion risk. We'll talk about currency risk. You can just think like, it might be equal to a US dollar or a Great Britain pound, right? Toland company law requires companies to prepare their financial statements in accordance with IFRS, or we can say International Financial Reporting Standards. So as we are aware, globally now companies are moving towards IFRS. So being in IFRS again will have number of advantages, that your comparison can be easier. If you're going for a merger, acquisition, that time also these things will be important. So what we do in our class with our full-time student, we take them through all the IFRSs. We make them remember it, or we have to memorize some of them and see if it is applicable or not. For example, if it is IS 38, intangible asset. So what qualifies as an intangible asset and what not? What are the 4-5 categories we have